Hello everyone. In this video I'll explain you the code that I wrote for permutations and combinations calculator. So I'll explain the scripting part only, and if you wish to understand the HTML part, then go learn it first and then download the source code there. So here's the style tag which styles the page, which gives the color, the size, the font and all. So we'll not discuss about these all. Let's scroll all the way to our body. Yes, so here is the body, and everything that shows up on the page is here, and you can see all the the options, then the inputs, and everything is here. Now here's the button which you click, this button, and I have told it to perform the get result function when it is clicked. So one click is equal to get result function. And let's come to the scripting part. So all the unnecessary stuff around here, and then the scripting part. So the script tag contains the JavaScript basically. So here's how we define the function. So if you see, I have asked it to perform the function get result when it is clicked, and I have defined the function get result here. So as soon as the button is clicked, this function will operate. Now let me show you what the function is all about. So I've declared a variable in. So where is or var is for declaring a variable inside JavaScript, and then this method is to assign the value. So document.getElement by id in.value, which means the element with id in and its value will be assigned to the variable in. So if you see, I have given the id of in to this input, which is nothing but the value of in. And similarly, I have declared a variable r, whose value will be the value of the input with the id r. And finally, we have the variable value, whose value will be the input or the option that is selected right here. Let me show you. So here, so all the variables, I think all have been declared except the result. So now comes our first condition. So this, if you don't know, this is the comparison operator. So what it tells is if the selection or the option that is selected from here is select, then we don't have to perform all this. We just show the result, select the operation, and if it is not equal to, which is the sign here, which is not equal to select, then this all code runs. So inside that is another condition which tells if n is greater than or equal to r, and this is basically for and, which is the ampersand operator. And if n is greater than or equal to r, and n is greater than equal to 0, and r is greater than equal to 0, then we have another bit of code. So here we start by declaring a variable n factorial and assigning it the value 1, and now our loop starts. So let me show you something. So while calculating the permutations and combinations, what we need to do is, for permutations, we have the formula n factorial upon n minus r factorial. So here basically we need first variable, which is n factorial, and the second is n minus r factorial. And for combinations, we have n factorial upon r factorial and multiplied by n minus r factorial. So this is how the things work. So if you see, there are three different variables. First one is n factorial, second is n minus r factorial, and the third is r factorial. So we have to declare these variables. So we first we begin with declaring n factorial and assigning it the value 1. Now the loop, what the loop does is assigns the final value to the n factorial variable. So this is the way we declare loop in JavaScript. Start with 4 and we let I equals to 1. So this is another way to declare a variable where we assign the variable I a value of 1, and then the loop continues till we reach I less than or equal to n. So I'll explain how this works through an example, but let's see the code at first, and then I++, which means I will keep on increasing. So let me highlight this. So this part of code will calculate n factorial. So let's say we take n is equal to 5. So we have n factorial equals 1. Now I equals 1 and n factorial is equal to n factorial times I. So the first time the code runs, we have I equals to 1 and n factorial is equal to n factorial times 1, because I is 1 and n factorial is 1 itself. Now the I has not reached 5 yet, and it will run again because the loop will run until I becomes equal to 5. So I will be 2 this time and n factorial will be assigned a value of n factorial which was 1 times 2. So it will become 2. Next time this loop runs again, and this time I is equal to 3. So n factorial will become n factorial which was 2 times of 3. So this becomes 6, and this is how the code will run until I reaches 5, and that time this n factorial will be 24, which we had last time, and times 5, so it will become 120. So here's how the factorial is calculated, and in a similar way r factorial will start with 1, and until j reaches r, the loop will run and r factorial will get the value of r factorial. And similarly for n minus r factorial, I declare a variable nr factorial, and until k reaches n minus r, the loop will run and we have the value of nr factorial. Now we declare a variable result for the result, of course, and we don't assign it a value yet. Now if value equals to p, which is value, if you recall, the value is the value of the option that we had selected. So if the option selected or the value is p, then result will be n factorial upon nr factorial, which we know is the formula for permutation. And if the value is not p, which means it is c, then because it cannot be select, because we had already put a condition here that this code will run only when the value is not select, so it can be c here, and in that case result will be n factorial upon r factorial times nr factorial, which is the formula for number of combinations. And now the code which says this part, wait a moment, so this part of code ends up here and up to here, and else the result will be 0, which means if it is not p, and wait a moment, so this part of code, the bracket of the bracket which says if it is select opens up here and it closes up here. So this else is for here the condition which says if n is greater than equal to r and n is greater than equal to 0 and r is greater than equal to 0, then only this code will run. And if any one of these is not the true condition, then the result will be 0 as shown here. And if the condition here is not satisfied, then this else will run and it will give the result select the operation. Now finally we have a new variable result box, and it is nothing but the div element which I had declared with the id result, and we have some JavaScript styling here. So result box dot set attribute which does nothing but aligns the text to center and sets its display attribute as block. So this is the styling part. And finally, when we have the result, document.getElement by id result, which gets the element, and inner HTML which assigns the value to it is equal to result, which is the value of the result. and the scripting part finishes here, and the code as well. So hope you guys understood the code, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.